I have a couple of weeks ago, Jessica sent an email out asking if anybody had questions for me to discuss. I could say answer, but I don't really have answers, but to discuss. Actually, we got very few responses, but there's one response that came, a question that was it's very vital. It's very deep and important question. And I'll read it to you. Sitaram. I do love the Course. I took the previous one as well. I've been on this path for 20 plus years, and the past year or so, I've been so grateful to feel my focus deepening. Me too, since in my 60s. But she writes, however, now and then I get a thought that flashes through my head. What if this is all bullshit? I try to tell my mind that if it's all bullshit, the worst case scenario is that I lived the second half of my life at the feet of a wonderful being, feeling happy and devoted. I remind myself of the split seconds when I knew it's not all bullshit. That one time in a meditation when it seemed like the curtain was drawn back for a few seconds and I had the knowing, oh, so this is God. And the feeling that I still have, that I never needed that to happen again in order to know what's real and what's illusion. But now and then that thought whispers in, what if none of this is real? What if we just cease to be when we leave our bodies? What if the soul is nothing more than a creation of the mind? Does this ever happen to you? All love. I'll leave out her name because maybe she doesn't want her name said. Well, what a question this is, right? And I'm going to start by sharing an experience, something that happened with my son Ezra and I. And this was, I don't know, I think it was 5 years ago, something like that. I was putting Ezra to bed. We were telling stories or reading something, and then just kind of lying there. I was restlessly waiting for him to fall asleep. And he turns over to me and says, Papa, this is going to sound weird, but I got to tell you something. I said, what? He said, well, I don't believe this is true, but my mind keeps saying, God is dumb. God is dumb. And I can't stop it. And I know it's not true, but so I don't know what to do. And, I was immediately awed that this young kid, this young being, knew not to identify with his mind. And he saw his mind as a witness, but still he was upset about it. But he was watching his mind and knowing that was a part of him that wasn't indeed fully him. So that was that's the that's the answer of all the questions. And I was I was like, right on. But then I said, the mind is its own entity, and we try to work with it, and we hope to work with it, and it's also a great, our intellect is a great part of this incarnation, this gift that God has given us. And yet the mind has a habit of thinking. And our souls, our hearts, don't always resonate with the thoughts of the mind, of the intellect. And I said, just watch it and look at it as this spring winding down, so to speak. And it'll calm down, and if you want to help calm it down, let's say Ram together. And we did, and pretty soon he was asleep. But it was just such a yes. There's been many times in my life where, well, I don't know if I would say this is bullshit, because I don't feel that. Because it's, sometimes I would feel that Maharaji would have us sing kirtan just to keep us off the streets. And so if that's the only reason, it's not bad. It keeps me out of lots of bad behaviors I could fall into and have fallen into. But more than that, there's been many moments of like, is this real? Is there Ram? Is Maharaji really all omnipresent? regardless of how many experiences and things I've seen and heard and witnessed that prove to me the presence of God and the presence of Guru. But still, there's many times I was like, what's going on? I have no high level of spiritual awareness after all these years. Is it all a waste? And yeah, of course, I have those thoughts, but I don't pay them very much mind. I don't pay my mind very much mind, put it that way. And I just realized that they're part of the geography of my thought processes. Doubt, fear, anxiety. They just are expressions of perhaps my many incarnations, or perhaps just the implants or imprints, I should say, of this incarnation. Perhaps it's the cultural DNA that we all share. But I don't, I'm not going to change what I do. So why should I give very much credence to those voices in my mind that question what I do? Well, but they're there at times. And then I have to tell you that I do my small, little, simple practices. And the practices remind me always, well, maybe not always, but almost always, the practices reconnect me to the truth. And then those voices, they'll come back. But every time they come back, well, it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards, Each time those voices come back, they come back with a little bit less power. Now, I don't know what's going to happen when I die. Just like I don't know what's going to happen when I put my head on the pillow at night. I pray for deep sleep. I pray for rest and nourishment. I don't always get it. But I still wake up, and the first thing I do is I say my shlokas to my Guru. I do it, as I said in episode 1, under the covers. And I say, please be my guiding force this day. Let me somehow or another offer my will to your will. And please bless me with a little bit more devotion today than I had yesterday.